This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Good morning, happy Monday, and welcome into VSiN By The Books. My name is Grace Remington. Dave's on vacation, so wish him well. Send him your tweets. Jensen Lewis will be joining me in just a few minutes, but hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for joining us this morning. Great to be back on the morning shift. Haven't been here since January, I believe. So if you're listening, thank you, and great to be with you again. But we got a busy show for you coming up today. Let's take a look at who's coming up. We're stacked with our guests today. Coming up in this first hour of the show, Cody Decker, co-host of Beadle and Decker, joining us at 7:30 Eastern to look over this baseball slate today and just give us some of his general thoughts on the season so far. Coming up in the second hour of the show, trusty VSiN contributor Will Hill with his bets across every sport. He can do it all. And then final hour of the show, 9:30 Eastern, Rachel Dory, the CTO of Betalytics, joining us with her hockey bets. It's been a really exciting start to the NHL playoffs, so really excited to get some expert opinions there. But we got a busy slate coming up today, 10 baseball games. We have two NBA Round 2 series starting tonight. The Knicks at the Celtics with the C's, a minus 355 favorite on the money line. The Nuggets at the Thunder with OKC, a minus 425 favorite on the money line. So pretty hefty prices there. But we're going to break down how to find some angles that are just a bit more palatable. And then we have another hockey series starting tonight, the Panthers and the Maple Leafs. This one's really exciting, I think. Panthers coming off a pretty grueling series against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Only 5 games, but the Battle of the Florida is always a lot more physical than the box score shows. So how will they do against the Maple Leafs, who are still looking to try to exercise those demons, get past round 2 of the playoffs? They finally did so just a couple years ago. Now it's time to take the next step. The Panthers minus 125 on the money line tonight. The Leafs plus 105. And then, of course, once we get Jensen in here, we gotta recap a lot of weekend action here. Kentucky Derby. Anyone bet on that? How thrilling was that? And by the way, absolute props to our colleague Mike Somich. Admittedly, I'm a horse person. I love horses, but I'm a casual horse racing bettor. And so I was just poring over the articles and the VSiN betting guide and really studying the stuff that Mike Somich was putting out there. And he nailed it. He hit the superfecta. Sovereignty, Journalism, Baeza, and Final Gambit, the top 4 horses. I took his advice partly. I had played those horses and basically a bunch of different trifecta box bets, and I unfortunately did not play any of his specific bets. So I did not win as big as Somich did. Now I know, because we have, I think it's the Preakness, or is it it's Preakness coming up in a couple weeks. Now I know. I will tail exactly what he says. But props to Mike Somich. Actually, if we have that thought ready, I'm pretty sure he was live on air when that hit. Producer Brandon, can we take a listen to that?
Sovereignty over Journalism, followed by Baeza and Final Gambit. Give me that superfecta, baby. Let's go. We cashed it with Sovereignty on top, Journalism second, Baeza third, Final Gambit fourth. Woo! I love me some Kentucky Derby action. That is how you hit the superfecta.
That's so awesome. Congrats to you, Somich. Oh my gosh, what a rush. And to be live on air when that hits too. Give him all the trophies. I think the average payout for a superfecta just in the history of the Derby is over $50,000. That one I believe was $1,600. And that was, I'm pretty sure that's if you placed a low budget wager on it. But that's just legendary stuff. So congrats to him. Can't wait to see what we do for the rest of racing season. But also had some pretty big golf action over the weekend. Scottie Scheffler hadn't won yet this season. He was at the Byron Nelson Open this weekend, a meaningful tournament for him. Of course, Dallas is where he lives. The Byron Nelson, it was played at his home course. He went in as the favorite, and we saw the emotion at the end of that tournament. I mean, he led wire to wire, one of the few winners to ever do so at that tournament. So it was really cool to see him celebrating with his son and his wife after that one, as he ties a PGA Tour record with the lowest 72-hole score. And you know what's an even bigger win? I am told my co-host, Jensen Lewis, is finally here. Jensen, can you hear me? Happy Monday to you.
I got you. Hey, a little technical difficulties, but we are good to go. And thank you so much, Grace, for hanging with us there. And great to be with you today and tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, what a weekend of sports that we get to recap today. So how about we do it? How about we jump into some of our highlights and headlines? Let's do it.
Help your bottom line with today's highlights and headlines.
All right, Grace, so you mentioned it. There was a lot to recap over this weekend. NBA Game 7, NHL Game 7. Scottie Scheffler setting an absolute tear through the Byron Nelson, the greatest below par tournament we have seen on the PGA Tour. However, it is the OMJ Jets, the miracle in Manitoba. What an unbelievable finish in the third period there, as Winnipeg was able to get the equalizer with under 2 seconds remaining. They win it in double overtime to advance to the second round for the first time since the COVID season. Remarkable in its own right to think about where we were at that point. They were down 3-1 with under 3 minutes left in regulation. The St. Louis native Adam Lowry gets credited with the winner to stun the Blues. Now they get to go against a team that had their own heroics in the Dallas Stars, and Mikko Rantanen single-handedly bringing them back from being down 2-0 in the third period. They get it done. The Stars do. So, Grace, what an unbelievable finish on this side of the bracket here for this first round of the NHL postseason. And now the Jets and the Stars will match up in round 2.
Yeah, what a thrilling weekend in hockey. I think the lesson learned is no lead is safe in hockey. It's always the debate. Is a 4-goal lead the safe lead? No, because it was the final week of the regular season we saw a team come back from a 4-0 deficit and win. So we had two game 7s, and both were come from behind wins. The Stars scored 4 goals in the third period to complete their comeback. The Jets scored 2 goals in the final 2 minutes and then went on to win in double overtime. And what an atmosphere in Winnipeg. Just absolutely electric. So fun to watch those fans, especially, I don't know why. It just looks like the fans who are outside in that street watch party always have more fun. I don't know why that is, but I wish I kind of wanted to be out there with them. But the Jets do it without 2 of their top players as well, and their historical season continues. So can't wait for the second round to begin.
Yeah, great point. So game 1 of that second round will get underway on Wednesday. Winnipeg at home hosting Dallas. They right now are actually a slight dog here, if you will. Stars minus $1.12 at DraftKings. Winnipeg and Dallas, a 5.5 goal total right there to get that one underway for round 2. As it stands, too, and I know we'll jump into the NHL second round now that we have all the matchups set. It'll be Florida and Toronto. It'll be the Panthers and the Maple Leafs getting their round 2 series underway tonight. So a lot more to preview in the NHL. Also, another game 7 in the association. Warriors and Rockets, Grace, back and forth, but it's actually the Warriors that get help from an unlikely source. It wasn't Steph Curry. It wasn't Draymond Green. Come on down, Buddy Hield. Your table is ready. How about 33 points for the man, going 9 of 11 from deep, and the Warriors get it done on the road against the Rockets, 103-89. They will move on to play the Timberwolves, who have home court advantage. And they also have an extra few days of rest after taking the Lakers down in 5. Grace, biggest takeaway for you watching this series, it did go the distance here. And I think a lot of us here on the network kind of surmised that whoever would come out of this series might end up having, if it were the Warriors, an opportunity to really go deep. If it were the Rockets, they'd be the surprise. Kind of your thoughts on how this series transpired as well.
Well, we got half of the Warriors-Lakers series that everybody wanted, so props to Golden State for pulling their weight there. But it was really just a team effort last night from the Warriors. I mean, Steph exploded late in the game, 22 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Jimmy Butler, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Even Draymond Green put 16 points up. But like you said, Buddy Hield was the hero of the game, 33 points. I was looking at some of his prop lines. His points line hadn't been higher than 9.5 in the last 10 games. It obviously soars over the 9.5 last night. His PRA hadn't been over higher than 13.5 in the last 10 games. So, I mean, this guy seemingly came out of nowhere. And he said after the game, you know, Steph gave an emotional pregame speech that got us all fired up. The players never release what is said in those types of pep talks, but I would love to know, because clearly it got Buddy fired up. He had 4 points combined in just games 5 and 6, 33 last night, 12 for 15 shooting, was 0 from the 3-point line in games 5 and 6, went 9 of 11 from last night. And then his plus minus -25 in games 5 and 6, plus 17 in game 7. So really cool when you can have like your star players, putting in their best efforts and then kind of a hero come out of nowhere and just cap it off.
No question about it. So the T-Wolves open a 6-point favorite against the Warriors. That series getting underway tomorrow night, along with Game 2 of the Pacers and the Cavaliers. Pacers stealing Game 1 at Rocket Arena against the Cavaliers. We'll obviously have much more on how Game 1 transpired. The rest of the Round 2 series to preview, including the Knicks and the Celtics, as well as the Nuggets and the Thunder. Battle of the top 2 gentlemen in the MVP race. So much more to get to as this edition of VSiN By The Books rolls on.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
Back here on a Monday edition of VSiN By The Books. Jensen Lewis and Grace Remington with you this morning. Dave Ross on a well-deserved vacation. I'm sure he is tuned in at Virginia Beach with mom and dad. So mile high salute to you, DR. Great to have you getting a little bit of R&R there. And we know now, Grace, who will be getting some R&R for the National Hockey League as far as the playoff participants that will be going home. Yet again, what an unbelievable Game 7 we talked about in double OT, the Jets advancing past the Blues last night. But just a night prior, it was a scintillating finish to the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars series. Grace, it looked like the Avs were going to get it done on the road and really exercise some demons. But hold the phone, everybody. An old teammate, Mikko Rantanen, comes up and single-handedly gets the Stars into the second round. Just some historical context for people. When you look back, and we previewed this, Grace, last week on Friday, looking at the potential numbers and where the historical context could come into play. Pete DeBoer, head coach for the Dallas Stars, was undefeated in his career at 8-0 in Game 7s that he had coached. Well, make that 9-0. After this comeback and the wildness of it. But here's the historical context, and great friend of the program, John Fanta, putting this out on social media. Here's what's wild. The Dallas Stars head coach Pete DeBoer is now 9-0 in Game 7s. Even wilder, there have been 199 Game 7s in Stanley Cup playoffs history. Only 4 times has a team come back from multiple goals in the third period, and one. DeBoer has accounted for the last 2 of those games. Wild, Grace, to wrap our heads around that is even possible, but the Dallas Stars now into round 2.
Yeah, when you see these crazy stats like this, like 9-0 in Game 7s, I always just wonder what was the luck involved there. I need some context, but I mean this comeback stat too, where only 4 times has a team come back from multiple goals in the third period. He's accounted for half of those. I mean, he's got the clutch gene. So, I mean, congrats to him and any team he's a part of moving forward. But, I mean, Game 7, that's all you can ask for as a fan, especially if you're unbiased. I guess if you're rooting for any team in a Game 7, you're biting your fingernails off. But, I mean, honestly, just such a fun weekend for sports fans. And with that Stars win, actually, it's a win for the sports book, too, because the Conn Smythe odds heading into the postseason, Nathan MacKinnon had held the highest ticket percentage to win the award, over 10% of the tickets. But with the Avs bounced, I mean, he's off the board. Connor McDavid held the second highest ticket percentage. He's the new favorite at plus 850. So fans, not the only ones winning this weekend, but we got a lot of really great teams advancing to the next round. So can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, and you mentioned those Conn Smythe odds. Mikko Rantanen 40-1 before Game 6, now down to 10-1 after, as Sean McDonough said through a hoarse voice, a legendary performance, capping it off with the empty netter to get the hat trick there in the Game 7 win as Dallas moves on. So now as we look towards round 2 here for the NHL postseason, we do mention Florida and Toronto getting underway tonight. We'll touch on that upcoming here. But now seeing where Dallas will be, they will host Winnipeg. That series getting underway on Wednesday as well. And some of the odds for these series coming in just as far as Game 1s go. We mentioned Dallas just a slight favorite on the road against Winnipeg. But Grace, now we get into round 2 in earnest here with the Panthers and the Maple Leafs. We thought Toronto was going to have the old squeaky bum time from Paulie Howard, as he likes to say. Ottawa put up a good fight, but they find their way through. Florida actually handled the Tampa Bay Lightning quite well. And you look at that series right now, the Panthers $1.25 favorite for Game 1 tonight. Toronto plus 105 on the comeback, total of 5.5. Kind of how you look at this series, Grace, and where it sets up from an odds perspective.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised how swiftly the Panthers dispatched of the Lightning. I was unfortunately on the wrong end of that one. But odds makers, looks like they expect a close series here. The over 5.5 games is juiced to minus 190. Toronto plus 1.5 games is minus 135. And it's a somewhat familiar matchup for these teams, the second time in 3 years that they've met in the second round. But Florida has the edge here when you're looking at regular season games. They went 3-1 with a +6 goal differential. But the difference when they met in the playoffs 2 years ago is Toronto had some major scoring issues. They weren't able to score more than 2 goals in any of the 5 games in that series. They actually had a run in that playoffs where they failed to score 3 goals in 12 of 13 games. But now this year, coming off that series against the Sens, they scored 3 goals in 5 of 6 games. So a little bit more momentum for the Leafs coming into this one. And part of me, I'm wondering with the Panthers, at what point does the wear and tear of the postseason catch up to them? Because for the last 3 years, they've gone to back-to-back cup finals. They just had a physical battle with Tampa in round 1. All those additional games and hits, that wears on you. They're playing more hockey than any other team in the NHL. So I do wonder if that catches up to them at some point, and it kind of feels like it's already getting to their goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky. His save percentage has dropped to 90.1%. What's even more alarming is his high danger save percentage has dipped below the league average. So I wonder if he's starting to feel it. And then one other thing that stood out to me was home ice. Florida has a 20-19-2 record away from home with a -4 goal differential compared to a +27 differential on home ice. So that the discrepancy in home and away would really favor the Leafs here. And then if you think the Leafs win Game 1 tonight, I think you could double down on that, because teams that win the first game go on to win the series 68% of the time. So there's a market out there, I think it's +230. You can bet the Leafs to win Game 1 and the series. So I think that could be an interesting way to attack this one.
Yeah, see the money line right there, minus $1.21 at Circa there if you like Florida, plus $1.09 for Toronto. Again, that total juiced a bit to the under at 5.5. No surprise as we move deeper into the postseason here. VSiN Pro subscribers that have followed me know that I locked in Grace the Panthers yesterday, and I took him on the puck line. It's a nice little payout, plus 205 at DraftKings. You saw there at Circa, plus 210. And right now for VSiN Pro subscribers, normally the price is $240. but we've jumped it down to $199. And again, 14 months of VSiN Pro access, less than 50 cents a day when you use that promo code PRO. Head to vsin.com/subscribe. Use the promo code PRO to lock in 14 months of VSiN Pro. Again, just $199. That's vsin.com/subscribe. Again, we could not emphasize this enough, just from what happened with the Kentucky Derby. Our great friends over there doing a fabulous job of handicapping the Derby and giving out some great winners. We will obviously hop on what Mike Samich did with his superfecta. He gave that out for subscribers as well. So a lot of fun. If you are not yet a VSiN Pro subscriber, please jump on and be able to do that. Grace, a couple of other series that we will preview, and they get underway tomorrow night. Carolina is in Washington, and really maybe the one team in the Eastern Conference that has flown under the radar at this point is the Carolina Hurricanes, the Washington Capitals with the historic season. Of course, the great eight, Alex Ovechkin, setting the all-time goals record, but also being a force to be reckoned with here in the postseason. And Edmonton will travel to Vegas to take on VGK. That at 9:30 Eastern, puck drop tomorrow night. Anything that stands out to you, particularly in that Carolina and Washington series before they get underway?
Yeah, I think Washington could be a little bit undervalued here because Carolina has been a darling in the metrics for so long, while the cap season was somewhat surprising. But you look at the Canes stat, they led the NHL this season with 71 shot attempts per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. They also allowed the fewest attempts per 60, and they were the only team in the league that allowed fewer than 50 attempts per 60 at even strength. The con for the Canes, though, is that they take a kitchen sink approach, which means they just fire everything at the net, and with that comes a lot of low percentage looks. But Caps, you look at the way they generate offense on 5-on-5, it's just as good as the Canes. So I don't know why they're so much of a dog here. And I think when it comes to the goaltending, they probably have the edge, at least until we get more news. Carolina's goalie, Freddie Anderson, was injured in round one. His status is uncertain. And then Washington's Logan Thompson had a fantastic opening series. He went 4-1 with a .223 goals against average and a 92.3 save percentage. So I kind of like Washington in this series.
Very interesting, right? Washington just a short dog at home, plus $1.05 there for game one to start tomorrow. The Carolina Hurricanes minus $1.25 again, total at 5.5. How about 94% of the money on the over? They expect some fireworks there in game one of that series. We always have fireworks when we bring in our man on Monday. That is Cody Decker, co-host of Beadle and Decker. He joins us next to talk all things baseball as we roll on here on VSiN By The Books.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
A Cinco de Mayo edition of VSiN By The Books. Jensen Lewis, Grace Remington with you on a fabulous day to get the sports week started. It is always fabulous to catch up with arguably the most interesting man in sports media. He is none other than Cody Decker, co-host of Beadle and Decker. Catch them every weekday, noon Eastern, on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM Channel 82. Codeman, welcome to you on the Progressive Guest Line. Jensen and Grace with you. Top of the morning to you. You went with a black shirt instead of the white shirt today. I absolutely love the change up.
Oh, every once in a while, you gotta dress how you feel. Dark.
Dark and mysterious.
What happened to you this weekend?
Too much. Far too much. You existential crises. Take your pick. I'm a Laker fan. I'm in mourning. It's been a long mourning week for me. I knew what was coming, but I didn't want it to come for at least another week and a half. But here I am, living this nightmarish hellscape that is Laker fandom.
Oh, my God. You're not kidding, buddy. Speaking of where we go from one side of Laker fandom, or at least LA fandom, to the other, let's look out west. We've talked a lot on this show about the dynamic of the National League West. It's going to be the Padres and the Yankees in the Bronx, sort of a showdown series here. But what do you make of what happened with the Dodgers and the Braves series? Again, it felt like for a while the Braves would not beat the Dodgers whatsoever this year. Is that horrid start for Atlanta? The Dodgers playing much better as of late. size up the National League West here now that we've got basically a month and change under our wing?
The National League West might be the best constructed division in the history of Major League Baseball. I'm not even just looking at the Dodgers, by the way. Look at the Padres, look at the Diamondbacks, and yes, I'm even going to say it, look at the San Francisco Giants. Dear God, this whole division is a playoff team, and the Rockies exist. I just look at the Diamondbacks right now. That pitching staff is going to be phenomenal as the year goes forward, and really do not sleep on them. They are the most under-the-radar team over there, including the San Francisco Giants, mind you. The San Diego Padres taking on the Yankees. I love this series, and by the way, yeah, I do have a couple of bets already out as we currently speak, because Manny Machado's got some great numbers against Carlos Rodon, as does Xander Bogaerts. So this is a particular game that I like the Padres in the Bronx. But listen, the National League West is no joke. The Dodgers are just playing with their food. They will win 117 if they choose to win 117. But frankly, if I'm the Los Angeles Dodgers, I don't step on the gas until October rolls around. Frankly, they're the Golden State Warriors, man. They don't need to do anything until they need to do something.
Totally agree with you. I think any other team, when they lose their top two pitchers, would be in freak out mode, but Dodgers have 2 full rotations on this roster, so they're just coasting to the end of the season. Right, it's absurd. But speaking of competitive divisions, this one isn't as thrilling as the NL West, I would say, but the AL Central, we at least went into this one. 4 teams had the same win total as we entered the season, and you said it in commercial break as we headed into the segment. Tigers leading that one, as we all expected, right? So I want your thoughts on this, but I also want to get your thoughts on the Royals too, because I actually had quite a few futures bets. I backed them a few different ways, but this offense, I mean, started as the worst. They've come alive the last 2 weeks. So I want to get your thoughts on the Royals as well.
You know, I a little bit of panic button when it came to the month of April, as you guys already mentioned, the Braves and how their terrible start was. Kansas City Royals, I definitely have a flyer out on them to win the American League Central. They are, in my opinion, on paper, the best team in the American League Central. Yet the Tigers keep on winning at a pretty alarming clip. And at home, they're 13-3 this season. So they're one of the best home teams in Major League Baseball. The Royals simply have shown to be allergic to wood for some reason. Outside of just a couple of guys, they're not swinging the bats at all. And I do think it's been a bit of a misstep that they didn't get their hands on Santander, a guy they absolutely could have used in the outfield for that team, and they let the Blue Jays go ahead and get him. I think this is a team that can win. The Guardians are just one of those teams that don't go away. They know what they're doing somehow, year in, year out. They're a team that somehow gets better every year with subtraction. It's one of the only teams in baseball that seemingly does that. The Twins are just one of the perennial disappointments of the world. They will never actually get over any semblance of a hump. I do not know why. I'm assuming Target Field is cursed. I also don't care because I forget about the Twins' existence all the time. And the White Sox. Listen, they are the second worst team in baseball. I'll take it because they're not the worst team in baseball. That's a step forward. Well job, Will Venable.
Cody Decker, our guest always here on Mondays on VSiN By The Books, co-host of Beadle Decker on Sirius XM at Channel 82 Mad Dog Sports. So let's stay in the Central. Let's flip to the National League side. The Chicago Cubs have been a force to be reckoned with offensively. You mentioned the prowess of the National League West, and let's not forget the San Francisco Giants. Also kind of a showdown series here, if you will, Cody, beginning at the friendly confines tonight. Giants and Cubs, kind of the years for them. I know you touched on the Giants, but can we have staying power with Chicago's offense the way it's currently constructed?
Offense, absolutely staying power with the Chicago Cubs. Pitching, we'll see. We'll see how this season progresses because that pitching staff does leave a little bit to be desired, not to mention that bullpen, middle relief especially, and, of course, the closer situation over there with them. I do worry about this team, but they are in one of the weaker divisions. I, too, have a flyer out on the Cincinnati Reds to win this division. However, they're a team that are just so damn streaky. I thought Tito Francona would have been the perfect guy to put in that spot with these young characters, but unfortunately, to this point, they haven't quite figured it out. There's flashes of it. You can see that it's there, but pitching-wise, I think they are ready. The National League Central is anybody's game. Let's be real clear. The Brewers have done nothing these last couple of years in signing anyone, yet they still end up around the top of the division. I would not be surprised if we end up with that again. Cardinals, I think the Cardinals magic and the devil magic that we used to always talk about, the Cardinals devil magic is gone. Long dead. I do not like this team right now. In fact, the Pirates, even though they're in last place, I got a flyer out of them today to win this game because there's about 19 Pirates that have amazing numbers against my former teammate Miles Michaelis. And man, I love you, Miles, but I love to fade you a lot more.
Do you guys still keep in touch? How does that work when you're fading your teammates publicly?
It's not my problem. Pitch better. And also, dude, I retired
Okay, I like
5 years ago. What are you still doing out there?
That's true. Okay, I do want to get some of your best bets for today. You kind of mentioned a few of them, but when you scan the board today, anything that stands out to you the most?
I haven't checked all the prices, but immediately Freddie Freeman over 1.5 total bases or a hits plus runs plus RBIs prop jumps out to me. He's got good numbers against Sandy Alcantara, which, by the way, no one in Major League Baseball can pretty much say that. Yet somehow this Dodger team, one up and down the lines, got great numbers against Sandy Alcantara. I've been hammering the Dodgers on everything I can. Even Michael Conforto's got great numbers, 267 with 3 home runs. Mookie Betts, who has great numbers against everybody, is hitting nearly 500 off him with 2 home runs. Will Smith, Max Muncy, this entire lineup is hitting 350 off this cat. It's going to be a loud night for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, really, do you see a run line that is favored? Minus $1.20 there for the Dodgers in Marlins Ballpark. And yes, a shameless plug that the LA Dodgers will be a part of the Daily Diamond later on in this program. All right, Code, last week it was hysterical. It's probably something we'll do. It'll be a bit every week. We touch on the Seattle Mariners. Are they frauds? Is this something we should not buy into?
Don't
is
do
this
it.
devil magic?
Do not. You're going to tell me we're going to do this every week. Stop it. I know they're in first. It means nothing. This is no. Have we not watched the track record of these last few years? I agree. God tier pitching staff. God tier, not A tier, not S tier. God tier. That's how good that pitching staff is. Do not believe that offense. I know this from experience. They only hurt you. Don't be
it is that ex-girlfriend that keeps getting the best of you. That's for sure. Go ahead, Grace.
Every time.
No, I was going to say, I have trouble backing any team that plays in kind of like an outlier of a ballpark. I mean, the fact that their offense rates so well says a lot, that they're playing in one of the best pitchers' ballpark. But whether it's, I mean, like Rocky, obviously they're bad. But even if they were a good team, I would never bet them just because of where they play. So I don't know. Do you take a similar approach, Cody? Like in these weird ballparks, do you just stay away from those teams because the stats can be pretty fluky?
I think it depends on the team itself. I mean, you get the right lineup there in Seattle. Yeah, I'll jump all over that. If they went out and signed a certain bat that I think would have really played well there, like a Pete Alonso, someone like that, a Christian Walker, I might have listened a little bit more to this team. A bat that just can play in any single ballpark, makes any park seem small. But they don't do that. They never do that. This is a team, by the way, that has an outrageous amount of money and has been on the cusp of doing something special in a winnable division in the AL West for years and years and years. They have let the Astros go to the playoffs these last couple of years. It's maddening. But here's the thing. I look at that division, and I know the Texas Rangers haven't woken up yet, but I firmly believe that they will.
Now, the Rangers plus 300 right now to win the West on DraftKings. Mariners, the betting favorite, at plus 105. Code, always appreciate you on a Monday. Have a great rest of your week. We will talk again next week, bud.
I will wear such a great colored shirt next Monday. It's going to be sweet. Teal.
That is a tease, ladies and gentlemen. Cody Decker, co-host of Beadle and Decker, weekdays at noon Eastern on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM Channel 82. So much more to get to here on this edition of VSiN By The Books. We will jump into the NBA postseason. We now have the matchups for round 2 underway. We did get a round 2 matchup that completed yesterday, and a bit of an upset there here in Northeast Ohio. All that and so much more when we come back on VSiN By The Books.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of VSiN By The Books. Jensen Lewis alongside Grace Remington, live from Nashville, and for Dave Ross, who has the week off for some well-deserved vacation. Grace, I was coming back from Miami and Coral Gables yesterday. I did the NC State Miami game over the weekend on Saturday. And it reminded me of just a little bit of Nashville there, where you're starting to get the humidity moving through. And for those of us in the Midwest, it's always nice to jump down when the weather is just kind of, trying to find some consistency here. How's everything been down there with you? It's always great to be with you.
Yeah, I know we've only worked, I guess, in like little 10-minute segments before. So really exciting to do a full 3-hour show with you, especially because I love betting baseball and I know that's your thing. But gosh, you were talking about weather. It's been so confusing. Nashville, we had a stretch of 90-degree days where it just felt like soup where you walked outside. And then the last 2 days it dropped to 50 degrees. And those are the days, like, I have no idea what to wear. We're like at that point in the year where you get dressed in the morning and by the middle of the day, you're just you look like a hobo because you're wearing like 3 different versions of your outfit and you're either sweating or shivering, and I can't keep track of it. We just had a bunch of tornadoes and flooding a few weeks ago. So Miami actually sounds really nice right now.
It was. Got out before the rains came. That third game of the NC State-Miami series rained out yesterday, but the Hurricanes, one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in college baseball. We will have that Daily Diamond coming up. We're also going to give you this week a little 2-for-1 on Whiff Wednesday. We've renamed it Manic Monday today because we have Grace with us, and she is phenomenal at breaking down the guys on the mound. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We had a Game 7 to wrap up the first round of the NBA first-round playoff matchups yesterday. It was the Warriors getting past the Rockets. That sets up a Warriors-Timberwolves round 2 matchup that will get underway moving forward. But, Grace, we have 2 games tonight to jump into, the Knicks and the Celtics. The Celtics a 9-point favorite right now at home at DraftKings, and also the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you got in yesterday, like I did at 9, it's already jumped up to 9.5 as far as the spread goes. But let's jump into that first game, because the Knicks and the Celtics, I think we all kind of felt the chalk would hold here. The Knicks a little bit of dire straits trying to get through the Pistons. But this series sets up in kind of a crazy series price fashion. The Celtics are minus $8 to win this series. Of course, we have no interest in that unless you feel like the Knicks on the comeback plus 550 to shock the world and get past them. But as far as game 1 and how this series sets up, things that stand out to you before we tip this one later tonight at TD Garden.
Well, it'll definitely be more of a challenge for the Knicks in their round 1 matchup. They struggled against the Pistons in that first round series. Their offensive rating was only 109.8. That's down from their regular season rating of 117.3, which ranked 5th in the association. Their offensive rating in that Pistons series would have ranked them 24th out of all NBA teams. They had to rely on a lot of hero ball from Jalen Brunson, but they're not going to be able to do that against Boston. Detroit was a team that ranked 10th in defensive rating. Boston ranks 4th. Knicks are about average when it comes to defensive rating, but now they face one of the best offensive teams ever. I mean, if we're going back to last season as well, in Boston's 4 games against the Knicks this season, their offensive rating was 130.2. And for context, the best overall offensive rating of any team this season was the Cavs at 121. So they're almost 10 points better than the best offensive team this season against the Knicks. And a big reason for that is Jason Tatum. He averaged 33.5 points per game against them, over 53% shooting from the floor, over 47% shooting from 3. So he absolutely loves this matchup. So I feel like the Knicks are a little bit overmatched in this one, but we did see them fight, every minute against the Pistons. So I think maybe an angle to look at here is on a game-by-game basis, look for those double-digit spreads. Celtics have not been good at covering those this season. They're 20-26 against the spread as a double-digit favorite. And a lot of those covers came against crappy teams like the Wizards and the Hornets. So that ATS record should be a lot worse than it is. So maybe, I don't know if I want to back the Knicks in these series markets, but I think you could pick your spots.
Yeah, I would agree. And for VSiN Pro subscribers, I jumped in yesterday afternoon. The total in this game, 213. Right now it's circa, I believe it's at 212.5. So already a little bit of a change there. Also, 9 is the spread for the Celtics in game one, but 9.5 right there at circa. You see the series price, minus $8 there for the Celtics, Knicks plus 550. The series total games and the correct score. Could anticipate that if the Knicks could steal game one, just like the Indiana Pacers did for the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll talk about that series coming up in game one yesterday. Bit of a shocker for Cavs fans there as the Pacers come into Rocket Arena and win it. But overall, the 213 total, that was where I targeted, Grace, for this game. I am on the under, have that in pocket. I do think that the Knicks can tighten up a little bit defensively, but I'm with you. Can they keep pace with the offense? And if the Celtics are hitting from distance, this one could get out of hand quite quickly, and be anxious to see how long Tom Thibodeau plays his starters in the second half. We also have the matchup of the top 2 MVP candidates in the NBA. This series, maybe a bit of a shocker to some people that felt the Clippers were that team you could kind of ride the highs a little bit heading into the postseason, but the Nuggets dispatch of the LA Clippers, they now match up against the Thunder. That one right now, the Thunder, minus 9.5. I grabbed the Thunder, Grace, at 9 yesterday. So a little bit of movement at DraftKings, total of 225.5. Your assessment here in game one tonight and kind of how this series could play out.
Well, I think so far we've seen that the David Adelman's experiment has worked, but facing the Thunder is going to be a step up in competition, no doubt. The Clippers really didn't show up with a fire or passion in that opening round series, but that's not going to be a problem with OKC. They have an elite defensive infrastructure, ranking number 1 in defensive rating. But on the other side, I think there's still questions about this Nuggets defense. We did see a little improvement in those 2 weeks after Mike Malone's firing. But since then, so pre-Malone? No. During Malone, they ranked 19th in defensive rating. Post-Malone, they ranked 15th. So when you kind of average it out over time, it really wasn't that meaningful of a boost. So the Clippers weren't able to take advantage of an average to below average defense. So my question is how good is that really? Because now they're playing the best guard in the NBA and the potential MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I also think the scheduling goes the Thunder's way. The Nuggets have to play just 2 days after a grueling 7-game series. The Thunder swept the Grizzlies, so they haven't had to play since last Saturday, April 26th. That is an entire week off. And, maybe it's rust, but just with how much star power they have, I would think it's more of a rest than a rust thing. Nuggets do have the veteran experience, but I don't know. This one feels like it'll go the Thunder's way. Obviously, the odds show that. There was one bet I saw that I kind of liked. I think you could bet the Nuggets to win a couple games and back Nikola Jokic to get them there. So if you want to play kind of an exact outcome, Thunder to win the series 4-2 is at 5-1 odds.
I like that. I think it's an interesting handicap just from where, the narrative was from that first round where a lot of people like the Clippers to dispatch of the Nuggets. It is a grueling series, no doubt. But when you have a Nikola Jokic and the ability to have Jamal Murray kind of trending in the right direction, that should bode well. So again, 9.5-point favorites right now. The Thunder are a total of 226.5. That the second game of the night, as it'll be Knicks Celtics 7:00 tip time on the East Coast. Hey, if you bet the ponies over the weekend and you followed our guys here at VSiN, you did a great job. But if you're ready to get into the action, First Bet has you covered. Sign up now to access exclusive promotions and bet on hundreds of thrilling horse races every day right from your phone or computer. Visit firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com, and use promo code VSiN200 to score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Start betting today at firstbet.com. Great first hour, Grace. We have a boatload to catch people up on if you're just joining us. We do want to dive into that Cavaliers and Pacers game because I think for many people on the outside looking in, you mentioned the rest versus rust that we may see for Oklahoma City having upwards of a week off. Same was kind of there for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but the Indiana Pacers able to steal game one, 121-112. We'll give you the specifics on that and where it may set up for game two coming up, as well as did the NBA kind of do the Warriors and Rockets a little dirty, having them play the night game, the game seven, then have to travel. Now they've got to play tomorrow night in Minnesota. We'll see if that plays into the handicapping at all. And also a game seven in the NHL last night, Winnipeg and St. Louis. How did that one shape up? How late into the evening did you have to watch that one? And what it means now for round two, as all of the round two matchups are set in the NBA and the NHL postseason. Don't go anywhere. Highlights and headlights coming back. We'll get you reset for everything that happened yesterday and everything that's happening tonight on VSiN by the Books.